Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome to TMW Online, the Melanated Way. I am Linda. That is Abby. We are on a Friday night, y'all. Friday night. How is your Friday going? Let us know. Covering all things 90 Day Fiance, the original. Season 12, episode 3, I Manifested You, which is the perfect title for this episode. Abby, overall thoughts on the episode? Anything stand out to you?
Okay, so what stood out to me is we have a new type of clash. Like, we've seen lots of cultural clashes in the past, but I think that we have some unique, interesting cultural clashes to talk about. And they're in the relationships where I do think that people actually like each other. There's nothing nefarious or scammy going on. I think these people are genuinely like each other, but they're just having cultural issues. And I'm really excited to talk about that.
Yeah. You guys already know how I am. So there are standout couples that I like, and there are also couples that I'm just like, I'm not for this at all. Like, immediately no. Immediately no. Hey, Olivia, happy Friday.
Okay, Linda, before you get started, I have to say something that I forgot to say last time. You guys, Linda's birthday was last week. Everybody say, happy birthday, Linda.
Thank you. Yes, it was last week. I had an amazing birthday. It was amazing. That's all I have to say. And I'm going to continue to celebrate into the week. And I'm excited about my weekend because I'm also going to be celebrating this weekend as well.
Celebrate for the whole month. I believe in month-long birthday celebrations.
I mean, girl, I've been celebrating for weeks now. So let me wrap it up a little bit. My liver wants to wrap it up. Eyes want to wrap it up. Like, I'm going to need to wrap it up immediately. But after this weekend, I promise.
Okay. All right. All right.
Long time no see. Where you been? What's going on? Thank you guys for the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. Okay. Mallory and Rasik. Okay. I just want to say off the top that I'm seeing red flags here, and it just couldn't be me. And I want you guys to remember that when people are showing you who they are, I really need you to pay attention. This fool is red flagging me already because he is showing that, hey, you know, I'm happy to be with you and I love you and I've missed you and woo, 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 and I'm so sad and But when we're married, things are going to change. Did you notice that?
Tell me more of what you saw that you made you feel this way before.
I'm jumping ahead. Let me do the rundown and then we'll go to it. So his family's super happy that he found a woman. But also sad that he didn't find a Turkish woman because that means that he's leaving them. But, you know, they celebrate with friends and family. So first they go to his friends to say the goodbyes. I thought it was, I wish they would have explained what the Rocky was, which was the milkish drink that they were cheersing to. I think it was a alcoholic beverage, but I'm not sure. Anyways, Mallory did not like it. Thought it was like sour tasting, but she does really love Turkish food. And I probably will look into it because I am still curious on what that drink is, unless you know what it is, Abby.
I don't, but we saw it before. There was another couple that we saw in Turkey where she was actually very rude. So I thought that Mallory's, you know, I don't really like it. I don't care for it. But the other person that we saw was like spitting it out and being really rude about it. They described it that time as like a what is it? A curdled milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, no. Becca thinks, she's like, hey, y'all. I think a lot of their stories produced and they're actually happy. And thank you, Natalie. Natalie says it's a fermented yogurt. Interesting. So whatever it is, a lot of people are not liking it. I'm open to trying new things, though. Do you know what I mean? Because you might be pleasantly surprised here and there. So they're having a nice little cookout with his friends, and his friends are like, hey, you know, are you worried at all about going to America? You know, it's going to be hard for you because you can't work. you're used to being a manly man and Turkish man and all of that. And Receipt is like, yeah, men and Turkish men specifically that are used to being the head of the household. So that's my first thing, Abby. And then he's like, she's friends with her ex and it's uncomfortable. And the friends are like, well, that's her ex. That's in her past. You should leave it in the past. And he's like, yeah, but, you know, as the head of the household, things are going to have to change when we get married. That's the second red flag to me. And then Mallory's like, well, no, that's not even an ex. That is a friend. And you guys, YouTube, don't come for me because I just think this phrase is hilarious. She's like, it's only a friend with benefits. He was a friend with benefits, and it was just strictly dickly. And it was years ago, and it's over, but they are still friends. Now, Abby,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be all up in your business, and you can answer or not answer. Have you ever had a friend with benefits? And if so, are you still friends with them?
I've never had a friends with benefits, and I only have two male relationships right now that I would say that I'm friends with them. Neither one of those were previously romantic in any way. I have never successfully turned a failed romance into a friendship, and that's not on me. I'm a great friend. That's because men don't know how to be very good friends.
All
They're
right.
not. They're not friends to their male friends. It's even more difficult for them to be a real friend to a woman friend. Like a man being nice to a woman that he doesn't find attractive, rare.
I'm friends with a lot. I'm friends with almost every single ex that I have.
Like doing stuff together, friends, or like I can call you if I have a problem, friend.
No, absolutely not. We don't hang out, but like, we'll stay in contact. We know what's going on in, each other's lives, but that's about it. But I've never had a friends with benefits that.
But I also don't live in a sparsely populated area. It may be because of where she's from. There's not a lot of relationship opportunity, like friendship opportunity. And so people tend to remain friends with people who they've known for a long time, regardless of whether it's like a healthy friendship or not. Because she's from a part of Alabama that, I mean, I live in an area that's so densely populated, I can just make a new friend. Some people don't live like that.
That's true, but I just told you I'm friends with all my exes, and I live in a
But
very.
you're using the word friend, Linda. I would not use the word friend. You are simply in contact with these people. If
Oh,
you're
so
not
like
actively
I see what you're saying.
like she's talking about somebody that she still goes to dinner with, they hang out, they talk on the phone. That's not what you're doing with your exes.
I hear what you're
Wait,
saying.
wait. You're
No, I
smiling.
agree with that.
Okay, okay.
I agree with that. I just think it's funny that you're like, let me define what this is. Silver lining. He says, I have male friends that are straight, different for sure from my female relationships, but no exes. Um, okay, so anyways, are you friends with your exes and how do you define friendship? Let's talk about it. We're moving on. One of the things that really struck me, and you guys, I'm just telling you what I believe. These are my thoughts. But Mallory was in a traumatic, tragic car accident with her best friend, the mother, and the best friend's child. And she literally said it changed and altered their lives forever. And when they show this photo, I was taken aback. I do believe that it absolutely wasn't her time and that God was in control of that and protected them, because if you look at that car, to me, you would think that no one survived that. And so she talks about um, how they had to take 3 feet of her intestines out. And one of the things that came out of that was Brandon standing up as a true friend. And she said that he was there in her darkest hours. And when I think about that and I think about what Abby said about friendship, it's true because who you define as a friend is someone that's there for you in the great times, but is also there for you without you having to ask in the darkest times. And as I get older, and especially as I had this birthday, I realize, Abby, I have a very few. I can count on one hand my actual friends. I may have a lot of what, but my actual friends, very few and far between. And I think it's interesting to that Mallory brought this up because it reminded me of what I was thinking about last week, where not everyone is a friend. I mean, you can be friendly with people and you can have acquaintances, but when push comes to shove, are people there for you like you were there for them? A lot of them probably not. And and as I get older, I am getting more selective with my time and energies. So yeah, I think that that's why she's always going to be friends with Brandon, and we're going to meet Brandon shortly, I'm sure, because we're only on episode 3.
Mhm.
But he was there for her when maybe a lot of other people were not. But then receipt, this is red flag number 3. He says when we're married, there will be things I don't like and I'll tell you and you're going to have to change them. And then she said, I've been in a relationship like this before and absolutely not. I will not be controlled. And I was like this. That's the thing. So are you not who you're gonna be when we're married? And I've heard this before, Abby, where people were like, "Oh my gosh, everything was great while he was courting me. Our honeymoon was great." And then 3 months into their marriage, the marriage has fallen apart because the man is not who he was the whole time he was courting you. And for him to think that he's gonna be, the head of the house, head of what household? First of all, for the first 3 months, you have no job. You're gonna be dependent on Mallory in her house that she bought that you're now living in. And I saw a clip of next week when he was like, "This is my house." I turned around in my own house and said, well, my apartment, and said, "Whose house is it?" What are your thoughts, Abby?
So, okay, I said to myself, don't be anti man like you normally are and just think about the whole thing. Because back when Shaida and Bilal were on 90 Day Fiance, Shaida did the same thing. When she arrived at Bilal's house, not the first fake house that he took her to, she said, "This is my house. These are the way that I want things to be done." And one of the rules that she had was the interaction of the ex-wife in her home. She called it, "This is my house, and she's not going to be interacting with me a certain way at my house." So her asserting herself in that house did not bother me. So why should I allow Receipt asserting himself that this is my house, this is my space, because this is my fiance? Why should I let that bother me? Now, when he goes into the whole like head of household thing, that's a separate conversation. But him just claiming his domicile, I think that's okay.
So yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the red flags that I'm seeing that he is
Oh,
gonna
the other things.
he's gonna try to
So
put the law down on this girl that is his fiance that all of a sudden it's gonna change as soon as, at least that's how I interpreted it.
right,
That when we get married, there are things that you're not gonna be able to do, aka being friends with Brandon and
right.
whatever else. Right, because he made it clear early in the episode that the man is the head of the household. So, what does that look like? That's a conversation that they should have before they get married, as far as I'm concerned, because she's made it clear that she's not going to change some of the things because she's a grown ass woman, and that's why I
I
said
don't
to.
think that he knows to have this conversation, because this is one of the cultural conflicts that I was talking about earlier. When we're looking at people who are marrying partners from India, Morocco, and here Turkey, a part of their cultural expectation is that the woman is going to change after marriage. After marriage, you're supposed to become more conservative, and certain things are only for your husband to see and experience. And that husband does get to have dominion over you. Now, are there some places in those countries that are more progressive? Well, I don't want to say the other ones are not like that are different. Yes, but there are a lot of people in those countries who do think that once a woman gets married, she peels her, she boxes herself in. And how would they know I need to tell her about this expectation for her behavior when that's all he's seen around him is women who do that?
I think that they need to have a conversation because this is all uh, assumptions. If Mallory doesn't know what to expect out of Receipt and Receipt doesn't know what to expect out of Mallory in their marriage, then they're doomed from the beginning. I think that they need to know what is expected because she's in a red state and she self-proclaimed redneck is not going to change anything about that. So we'll see. Becca says, I do also think it's funny anytime a mama's boy says he's going to be head of a house.
I have the hardest time with that phrasing, even like coming from American men, head of household. Okay.
Absolutely, Olivia says most of the couples' issues are due to miscommunication, lack of understanding each other's cultures, and even not understanding each other's language, accents, etc. Facts. And Becca, yes, they clearly did not talk about the 5 things, and that's why I feel like there's red flags going on here.
In one of these situations, though, unfortunately, I think that even if they had a conversation about the 5 things, they would still have like miscommunications in different places because one person is going into it, Mallory's going into it saying, this is how our relationship is and how I want it to continue. And the other person's going into it saying, well, that's what she's saying now, but it'll change once we're married. And if you have that perspective going in, then these people don't even know what conversation to have with each other. If she says, I want 1 kid, and he says, I want 2, he's coming into it like, but I will just keep telling her I want 2 and she will have 2 as well. You see what I'm saying? So, like, how do you resolve that cultural misunderstanding?
No, you got to talk about it until both people understand. Absolutely not. Especially if that's someone's going to be a forever person. No, you're gonna have to figure it out. You're gonna have to get a translator or something. No. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Avoiding eye contact. Olivia is on fire today. Olivia says they travel to these countries on vacation and bring a man home without even understanding the person's culture. That is facts. What do we always say, Olivia? You keep your vacay bay on vacay.
Yeah.
All right. So they had been apart for 6 months. And this is something else that I'm very curious about what you guys think really does happen because we saw this also with Shay a little bit later on the episode. But Abby, as an immigration attorney who deals with the K-1 visa process often, do you hear any of these stories? So my question is this: do you think that people that are in long distance relationships, specifically going through the K-1 visa process, that can take years, it can take up to, let's say, 2 years, that they stay faithful to their partners, or do they not? So for these two, Receipt and Mallory, they hadn't seen each other in 6 months. So that would mean that who was it that was saying that she was abstinent?
Vanya.
Yeah. So
She was saying celibate.
oh, celibate. Yeah, but she's being yeah. Okay. Anyways, you guys know what I mean. So do you think that, especially men, do you think that they stay loyal and faithful to their partners?
I have not seen any actual data, but
Really?
my assumption would be that the faithfulness inside of people doing the K1 visa process is exactly the same as the amount of faithfulness outside of that. Those are who are just like saying we're together in a really, I don't think that doing the K1 process gives you any more security or guarantee that the person is faithful or not faithful.
Okay. So that's no.
That's no. I do think that somebody like Mallory and Receipt's case would be approved a lot easier than a lot of the other K1 cases that we see, because she's made so many visits to see him and they have spent a lot of time together, as opposed to people who have one in-person meeting and then file their petition.
That makes sense. Olivia, thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate you. Here's what I think. I think that men specifically, I don't know if they can be faithful like that without any guarantees. But I could be wrong.
Do you think that that is because of how they're socialized, or that it is biological?
No, it's because they're socialized to feel like they are the hunters and they need to go out and do all the dumb shit and not all the things. And not all men, not all men, not all men, but a lot of them. So I'm saying all that to say they had a little jiggy the night before, and he literally said that he was trying to put a baby in her, and I just hate that type of talk. I don't know why. I just hate it. I just don't think it's sexy. I just don't think it's sexy. And I also think that you guys have a lot of other issues that you haven't talked about. Why are you trying to throw a baby in the mix? But that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
They're en route to his sister's home to say goodbye to the family, since that they're going to be leaving the following day. And so one of the things that the family wants to do is a few Turkish wedding traditions to kind of bless them before they get married, because the family is not going to be able to travel and be at his wedding. And so I loved this tradition, you guys. So it's Sultan coffee. And they bring the coffee, the females bring the coffee to the bride to be. The bride to be selects the amount of salt that she's going to put in her fiance's coffee, and he has to drink the coffee with the salt in it. And it symbolizes that in marriage, there are good times and bad times. And if he can drink all that salt coffee, he's going to be able to handle the good and the bad times in the marriage. I loved that. I love that. What did you think, Abby?
That was pretty cute. I wonder when the Turkish people are doing it, if the amount of salt that the bride selects has some symbolism as well.
I wonder too. And if anyone knows that answer, definitely let us know if you're watching the replay or you're in the chat and you happen to know. The family can't believe he's leaving the paradise, which is Turkey. And if you see, we've seen Turkey before. It does look very beautiful. And especially, Becca said, the assumption that Alabama is better than Turkey. Listen, you guys, Alabama has never nor will ever be on my travel list. I have never been there. I probably will never go there. But I mean, what is Alabama known for, Abby?
I've only been to Alabama twice, and I'm from Georgia. So, I mean, I went once. We went to Birmingham because if you know the story of the four little girls who died in the church explosion, it was the anniversary of that event, and that church is still there. And so we went there, and across the street from there is the Civil Rights Museum, which is very interactive and has a lot of the stuff from the actual freedom riders. And then the park outside of that square is the park where the Children's March was. When you see all those terrible videos of the children who were being hosed to keep them from being able to go to school, that's where that was happening. And so they have it paved where you can take that walk around. So there was a lot of historical things to see there. But for a person who lives day to day in Alabama, I don't know like what if they have the ability to move, I don't know what it is that keeps them there. I know everybody doesn't have the ability to move, but I don't know what keeps them there if they
I
do.
don't, I don't, and you guys, I just don't know anything about Alabama, but I'll tell you this, yeah,
There's
absolutely.
never been a time that my parents were like, we got to go to Alabama for the.
That part, that part. Becca says when Sarper and Shekna did it, meaning the coffee and salt, he said that you're not supposed to make a face, and there's a correlation between your reaction and the longevity of your marriage.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Because we know that Receipt, his face was all squinched up. Like he took it like a shot and he didn't appreciate it at all. So we'll see. Um Okay, so the family can't believe he's leaving the paradise. But in that, they also say in that same breath, you won't be working for the first little while. So, but once you're settled, you're gonna continue to help support our parents. And we find out that his family, his mom and dad, lost their home in a 2023 earthquake. And so the children are expected to provide for the mom and dad. But he hasn't discussed money, which you guys know is one of my things that you have. How do you have a fiance and have not discussed money? I just don't know how that's possible. But here we are. They haven't discussed money, and so he doesn't know how she feels about all of that, which is absolutely something you guys need to discuss. Absolutely, especially when you're not going to be working for at least 3 months. No, more than that, right,
More
Abby?
than that, like if they choose to use the entire 90 days and not get married until the very end, then he can't apply for his work permit until the wedding takes place. So, if they got married in the first 30 days, then he could immediately apply for his work permit. But 3 months is just the period of time for them to get married. So it could
Yeah,
be
so let's
much
just
longer.
say yeah, let's just say up to a year. Up to a year, you may not be working. So how are you guys not having the money conversation? That is wild to me. He's sad to say goodbye and leaving the family. And this is a conversation that I thought we should have, you guys, because I don't think you guys understand also the person that is immigrating to a country, how big of a sacrifice that is. They're leaving everything they've known, they're leaving their family, they're leaving their friends, they're leaving their jobs, they're leaving security for a country that is not their culture, um, that they don't know, and the only person they know is like their fiance or whatever. And they're like people are, when people are like, oh, they got married for the green card, like the American dream and what people think it is it's not all of those things. And so I really need you guys to understand the sacrifice that these immigrants are 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 doing. They're sacrificing their entire life to be with the love of their lives. And it's not easy to do. It really is not easy to do. And the part that I also think that we don't talk enough about as well is that when they come on these visas, and like those, he's not going to see his family. Like Rashid's not going to see his family for at least 2 years, because he can't. Once you go into that process, you can't then leave the country and travel. You have to get all of your documentation, unless I think you get a waiver. And even that, they're like, well, why are you trying to leave when you're in the process of getting your green card? Um, and Abby, maybe you can speak on this more, but he won't see his family or be in his country for at least a few years. That's huge, you
Yeah.
guys.
And it's gotten more difficult. It used to be that you could apply for advanced parole, which means permission to leave and come back while you're still in that process for free, just as a part of that process. But with this administration, you can no longer apply for that for free at $635. And you're already in a situation where you're depending completely on your spouse to provide for you financially. Most people are not comfortable asking for that extra money for a travel permit, and then to be able to actually travel, then the spouse is going to also have to dish out money for the flight. So it's not an easy thing. And the majority of people who are doing these petitions are not rich. They're already a bit strapped as it is. The requirements to be able to petition for a spouse are not very high. Like, you don't have to have extremely high income to be able to do it, which is why I say if your spouse requires a joint petitioner, or sorry, a joint sponsor, don't marry that person. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You need to marry for love a little bit, everybody. Okay. So if their requirements are already low, if they don't meet those requirements on their own, don't marry them. So yeah, it's a lot. And I try to tell people this. They don't Nobody really accepts when I say this, to be honest, but for a person who actually is just getting married for a green card, if they're just getting married for a green card, this requires an amount of mental endurance that most people do not have. Imagine every single day of your life has to be made up. You have to pretend to enjoy this other person's company, their house, their smells, their hygiene, their food, and you're doing all of that like just for a green card. Most people cannot do that. So for most of these relationships, there is some amount of love or affinity that has to be present for them to go through with it.
Olivia says facts, Abby. So they're leaving. Everyone's crying. They're sad. They're saying their goodbyes. Another tradition that they didn't talk about, but that I noticed, is that once they got in the car and they were driving away, the sister had like a bucket of water and she threw like it 2 times. And I'm assuming, I don't know what it means, but it must like something like safe travels or protection on their journey or whatever. I don't know. I just love learning about those little traditions and beliefs.
Mhm.
They're driving towards the airport and they're having the talk about him not working. And he says, I'm not going to be working for the first little while and I don't want to be poor. You know what? I don't want to be poor either. When you post that receipt, because I don't want to be poor either. And in that same breath, he also said that he wants to be able to send money to his family. And she's like, this is something we should have talked about. Why are you just mentioning it right now? I don't understand that. Like, I have bills. I have a mortgage. I have a car payment. You're not going to be working. There are other bills that I have to pay. And this is something that is true, even like from an African perspective, you guys. A lot of people in other countries think, because they've been sold the American dream, so they think all Americans are rich. And I want to let you know, I'm going to burst your bubble right now. Absolutely not true. Now, more so than ever, most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. There are the few that are wealthy. And as we see, I actually don't want, I was about to have a TED talk and I'm just about to stop myself. What I'm trying to say is that all the stuff that you see on TV, all the things that you believe, not true. Most Americans are not rich, period, and full stop. And so for her to say that, as the Alabaman who owns her own home, that we've already learned, that she's still like working to pay her bills. So she's like, this is something that we should have talked about and you should have mentioned it before now. And then he didn't really get it. And he said, well, can't you go to work and one day of your pay will be dedicated to my parents? And I thought, the audacity of that statement, because not only will she be taking care of you for at least a year, you now want me to take on your parents. And let me tell you something, you guys. I don't know about you, but I know that when I saw 10.99 strawberries at the market the other day, I was livid. When I see gas prices, and if you follow me on my social media at Linda is So Girly, my personal, I post stuff like that. When I saw almost $7 gas, I was appalled. So a day's work in this economy is a lot of money. Abby, I feel like you have something to say.
I mean, this is one of the cultural issues that they're having. Unfortunately, it's not just, the commercial stereotypes of Americans that Mallory is fighting against, but it's the fact that she's visited Turkey multiple times. Do you know what that means to him? That doesn't mean that she scraped and saved and used reward points. That means she's got money. She's got money to burn. If she can come visit me multiple times and each one of these flights is $1,000 round trip, then obviously she should have no problem giving 10,000 lira a month to my parents. That's only $217 roughly. That's nothing to her because she's flying to visit me multiple times here in Turkey, and she's paying for hotels while she's here, and she's buying all the food she wants while she's here because the conversion rate is so great that what they're experiencing in this conversation is something that he did not even know would be an issue. It's just, oh, I got to say it and then it'll be done.
Is it
That's what I think. And I know, like, from my perspective as a Westerner who does not need to send money to my parents, has never been asked to send money to my parents. For me, it's ridiculous for you to assume such thing. But if I was from a culture where I was expected to do that, then it would have already been in my mind, oh yes, I have to remember that I need to also put some money aside for his parents while he's not working, because that's a part of me taking care of him. Cultural clash.
200 USD a month is nothing in comparison to what she earns, in his opinion. I mean, I do think that, again, I'm not sure if I necessarily agree it's a cultural clash. I think it's a relationship clash. I think that that's a conversation. They didn't talk about money, and now he has assumptions. You can both be Western. You can both be Americans, and this girl is thinking that you are going to pay all her bills, and you're like, absolutely, that's not what I'm going to do. But you guys haven't had the conversation. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. You guys have to talk about money, because if you're not on the same page about money and how you spend it and how you save it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are never gonna work. You're never gonna work.
I am going to take a stance right now. I'm making a declaration. If you are an American dating an immigrant who is previously, like, their country has previously been represented on 90 Day Fiance, I do not excuse you from not making an inquiry into whether or not support is going to be expected from you for that person's family. Or if once that person arrives in the United States and begins working, if part of their check is always going to be going back to that family, to the home country, you are not excused from not knowing that and not inquiring about it. There's been enough exposure for us to know about this expectation and to ask about it.
Facts. And I agree with Olivia. His family gave vibes, almost like he's the token son or son that can use his looks to help his family. The way his brothers were depending on him to send money back was kind of wild. I mean, yeah, I got that vibe too, Olivia. I was like, well, are we all... How about this? Could this be an option? If you guys were all contributing to the family as it was, he was a pirate on a boat or whatever, and you guys were all... I'm such a jerk.
I was like, a pirate on a boat?
I totally take that back. Sometimes I say things that I think are hilarious, and in my mind, I'm up. Okay, so if they were all equally contributing, and this is, again, just my opinion, if they were all equally contributing before, what is her name, Mallory, got in the picture, then you would think that them knowing that he's not going to be able to work, that they would pull their side up a little bit for the short amount of time until he gets on his feet. But instead, they're like, hey, you're going to America. Make sure you're going to be sending money, right? To the family, right?
I mean, that may have been exactly what the conversation was. The conversation may have been, we all need to find different ways to contribute to the family after this earthquake or fire. I don't remember which one it was, the earthquake.
There's an earthquake.
And he may have said, in addition to whatever job I'm doing, I'm also like online looking for an American or an English girlfriend slash wife. That may have been part of the strategy. We don't know
Maybe,
that.
maybe, but I'm just saying, like Olivia said, what are they contributing? This might have been the plan for the whole
It's,
family. Let's find a foreigner.
yeah, Olivia, it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't even matter if they're contributing also 10,000 lira. They are still going to assume that him getting his 10,000 is easier now, and maybe he could even send even more.
Hmm. We're moving on to Debbie, unless you have anything else you want to
Nope.
add to the
Let's
couple.
go.
Moving on to Debbie. Debbie, no. Just Debbie, no. This is a couple that I'm going to tell you right now off the top. On episode 3, I can't stand Mito. I can't stand him already. She is a strong 55-year-old self-made woman, has a daughter, a family, her life. She doesn't need this little scrub. And no, Debbie, no. So she's stressed because she found out that it was going to be 3,800 to change this full ticket. First of all, couldn't be me. If you want to change your flight, go ahead and find out for yourself and figure it out for yourself. And when she messages him and says, this is not doable, at least right now, not right now, he comments back, no comment. I would be blocked. I would block you and we would be done. And anyone that knows me knows that. It would be a wrap for me. I am not tolerating any kind of crazy, foolish nonsense. Absolutely not. And especially as a 55-year-old grown woman, she's losing sleep, Abby. She's crying. She's stressing out. She's sitting on a park bench, all woe is me. What the? You are too grown, Debbie. You've done too much for this friggin' fool to be stressing you out. What is he even bringing to the table?
Mito?
So, literally says, my note says, quote, I hate him already.
I only have 2 lines that I wrote. She just sat there crying. This is terrible. I wanted to play with her. That's all I wrote for them.
Listen, when she said he might not get on the flight, I said, that's probably the best thing for you, Debbie. Let him not get on the flight. And then, but no, there's still more. She's up late because he was supposed to be there in 6 hours. And when she texted him, he said he's still at home. So she's not sure if he's going to be on the plane. Again, why are we entertaining this as a grown-ass woman? You have grown children that don't behave childish like this. Like, are you dealing with a child? You are supposed to have, this is supposed to be your fiance who you're going to share your life with, and he's playing games with you and you don't know where he is and you're losing sleep over it. He wants you to just willy-nilly $3,800, just willy-nilly like that. And then he's playing games and not messaging you. And when he does message you, he's rude. I don't, you guys, no. I don't think so. That couldn't be me. And maybe I have a cold, dead heart, but I also know that I'm not 19 anymore and I'm not playing teenage games. You can't waste my time. But here we are. So she's not sure he's on the plane, but she's gonna go to the airport anyways. Abby, again, it couldn't be me. My note says absolutely not. Do you know how far the airport is? Do you know how someone has to love you to go to pick you up from the airport, you guys? It's a whole ordeal. Like, what? You're not going to take an Uber? Can I call you a car service?
Y'all, this is so especially for people in LA. They hate picking up friends to LAX. They will send you a black car before they will come and pick you up from LAX. Everybody I know in LA avoids going to that airport to pick anybody up.
100%. Send the cars. Send the cars. I will take you for a great meal, but no. So this whole thing that she's doing, absolutely not. Then her daughter says, Devin says, my mom's not doing well. She's not handling this situation with Mito very well, because she hasn't heard from him. And I thought that her daughter was going to do more and be like, hey, mom, you're acting erratically right now. And for you not to be eating and sleeping and getting sick because this fool hasn't messaged you, it seems kind of like outrageous. Like maybe I should take you out because, she lives in New Orleans. Have y'all been to New Orleans? There's plenty. Go and listen to some music and soothe your soul.
Please do.
Because this sounds ridiculous. Anyways, daughter didn't say that. So they're off to the airport to pick up Mito, and she's bought him some American flowers, red, white, and blue flowers. Welcome to America. That I don't know. I think I want to say that's an American thing. I've never seen anything like it. And she brings her dog with her. And FYI, dog's super cute. The way the dog does the laying sitting thing, you know how some dogs just like plop out like that? I love seeing that. I think it's adorable. She is standing around, waiting around, standing around, waiting around. She feels nauseous, runs to the airport bathroom and pukes because she is so anxious. She doesn't know that if Mito is, again, couldn't be me. She is waiting. Now it's 1 hour past his flight time arrival. She starts crying. I literally said, no way. There's no way, Abby. First of all, you drove all the way to the airport and now you're sitting for over an hour. And then we find out she's now waiting an hour and a half. You've also puked. Again, you guys, it couldn't be me. You think that I'm driving my car all the way to the airport? I'm paying those airport prices for parking. I don't have a gas car, but if I was using my gas, I'm paying those gas prices. And then I'm going to sit around and be sick and hang out at the airport all day waiting on you, not knowing if you're coming or not. Abby, I have a whole life.
I mean, the airport, it's Alabama. They probably don't have a charging parking lot, but still.
No, we're in New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans. That's right. Yeah, you're paying for that parking. Yeah, I can't. There's no situation under which I'm at the airport and you haven't confirmed with me that you're coming. I mean, planes also have Wi-Fi nowadays. So if you're choosing to not tell me that you've got on the plane, that you're on the plane, all the hours it takes to come from, I've never flown from Egypt, but I'm assuming that's at least 10 hours. Maybe. What? Maybe 8 at the least?
At least 10.
Yep. No, I'm not there, and I don't care if you're coming anymore, because what is that? What is that playing with me?
Exactly.
What is that making me unsure?
Right. And that's supposed to be
never a moment. At no moment in any relationship should I be confused about who I am to you.
Agreed, 100%. Agreed. And if your partner is also purposely making you feel insecure about yourself and your relationship, then that shouldn't be a relationship that you're in, which is my whole point of this whole Debbie thing. So she sees on the board that his plane has landed. She's hopeful that he's on it. And then she sees him. She starts crying. They hug. And I just don't see it. I don't see the chemistry. I actually don't even think that they play on the same teams, but that's just my personal opinion. And what is the first thing he talks about? He's in the US and he's there to do his acting because he wants to be famous. These are his words, you guys. And also, as a side note, to marry his fiance, Debbie.
Mito said, manifest, manifest, manifest.
Listen, y'all. He's like, I made it to America. I'm about to be famous. Oh, by the way, I probably gonna have to marry this woman to get my green card, and I probably have to give her a little bit of attention because honestly, I guess that's why I'm here.
Hmm.
People didn't call her, didn't message. No, nope. Like I said in the beginning, hate him already. You want to add anything else?
No, I have no other notes on them.
Moving on to so here's what I thought was interesting, you guys, because when TLC sends out the press releases, and I do get them, and they give me the breakdown of all the couples, Paula and Thomas were not on it. So you know how I normally show you guys like, oh, here's the new couple. They were not on it, and I'm curious as to why, if they're a filler couple, because that's what TLC tends to do when something hasn't worked out mid-season. They throw in a filler couple, but we'll see. So Paula 41 from Brazil, and Thomas, he's really from North Carolina, but he's in Long Beach, California now. And okay, before I get started, what were your thoughts on this couple?
I do feel like this couple has some really genuine love and interest for each other, but it's for me, it's just a little bit weird when somebody announces a dating preference outside, not even just outside of their own, but just specifically white. When somebody has a dating preference for a white person, that's a little weird for me. Because like what is it's harder for me to swallow. And maybe this is my own bias. But like if I had a dating preference for, let's say, a Moroccan person, like we know that uh Emma like she really really wants a Moroccan man. I'm like, okay, you like the music, you like the food, like you like something about Morocco that makes you want to be attached to there, right? The same thing when people are constantly going back and forth to like the Philippines or Thailand. Okay, you got an Asian fetish, like, all right. But when somebody says like, I really want to marry a gringo, I really want to marry a white person, I'm like, what are you after there? Domestic violence? Like what are you after? Like what's the, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. I don't think it's going over well. Like what's the cultural thing that you're after?
Silver Lining says, my PR bestie is like that. She just likes blonde hair and light eyes. She finds it attractive. I'm personally, I'm not going to totally get into this, but I will say this about Silver Linings. I think that as we grew up, the standard of beauty was considered a specific thing, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes. And I think as we've grown up and become adult, we realize that that is not the only standard of beauty. Beauty can come in all shapes, colors, and forms. And I think that people who are like, oh, like just like in Africa when they bleach skin, in Korea when they wear umbrellas, and the lighter you are, the more beautiful you are, et cetera, et cetera. Like I can go into how colonization and Western standards of beauty have warped the minds of many because literally of colonization. Um, but I'm not going to do all of that. I'm just going to say that it's giving fetish. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that have fetishes. There are Black girl fetishes, there's Latina girl fetishes. There are a lot of fetishes. So her whole little gringo comment, I think is interesting. And I guess we'll find out as their story unfolds. But she has a piercing uh business, and she calls herself boss lady, and she says that she's manifested this greatness with her miniatures. Now she collects these little mini tiny trinkets, and she uses them for tools for manifestation, because she believes that these little trinkets symbolize the things that she wants in her life. And she also believes that manifestation is like the law. What? Sorry, not what. I was just reading my own writing. She believes that manifestation is a law called quantum physics, and everything is little atoms and protons, even your thoughts. And where you put your energy is where you put your thoughts. And so you build that reality. That is her whole belief system. Abby, go ahead, because you look crazy over there right now.
She's free to believe whatever she wants about manifesting, but you cannot change the structure of an atom. Like matter is matter. Matter is physical, it is liquid, or it is steam. A thought is not matter because it's not one of those forms. So it doesn't have atoms, it doesn't have protons, it doesn't have neutrons.
I mean, I wasn't going to break it down. I was just telling you what she said she believed. There's a lot. There's a lot to that, right? There's a lot to talking about quantum physics, but then you have mini Labubu sitting on a mini couch. So like I'm having a hard time taking any of this. You have a toilet with fake poop in it, but that's manifest. What is that manifesting for you? Anyways,
Just play with them. Just play with them and have fun. You don't have to. You don't need to make it like it's a whole big thing. I watched that. I follow an axolotl on TikTok, a miniature axolotl. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
It's adorable, and he has a song. There's an axolotl at your front
No.
door. But you
I
can
like
just watch it. I just watch it. I have fun with it. I don't need to make a greater meaning to the axolotl.
Y'all, I'm very girly and I like cute things, but what you're not about to see in my house is a bunch of little trinkets in a cabinet. No, no. Paula says she's always wanted to marry a gringo. She wrote a letter to the universe, and then the universe brought her Thomas. Thomas is from North Carolina. He's 31 years old. He now lives in Long Beach, California. They met in Hermosa Beach at a volleyball class that they were both taking. He had only been there for a few days, and she was on a week vacation from Brazil. They hit it off immediately. Then she left, and they ended up being pen pals for years. They have first met, you guys. They met 7 years ago, and they were pen pals. They weren't visiting each other. They were just talking and texting and texting and texting and talking and texting for 7 years. Which good on them, because that's a long time to stay in contact with someone that you actually don't see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he thought he started to have feelings for her, so he went to Brazil and he asked if he could be in a romance with her, which I thought was you know what, make your intentions known,
Mm-hmm.
use your words and communicate, and do it in person. I actually love that about what he did. I loved it. Direct. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, she had a boyfriend. But she ends up breaking up with the boyfriend because, you know what, you guys, it is true that someone that you can laugh with, someone that's your best friend, is probably going to be your best relationship, which is what they were, best friends. And so she gave it a try, and 2 years later they got engaged. They're opposites. They say I don't know who they are, but that's what they say. They say opposites attract. He is a meat eater. She's a vegan. He's a minimalist. She is a clutter person. She believes in magic, and all he said was no. And here's what I really loved about Thomas and him bringing in Paula to his life. Now, he didn't do some things, but here's what he did right, in my opinion. Even though he's a meat eater, carnivore, he was making rice, beans, and tofu and keeping it in a warm container, because she's now traveled halfway across the world to be with him, and has only had plain food, and maybe those dietary restrictions were not met, and so he was thinking of her and her needs, and she's going to be hungry after a long flight. How about some substance and some
Mm-hmm.
substance that you eat, which is vegan? Love that. That was Cha-ching, green flag. Um, FYI, I thought it was super funny. Didn't catch the name he said had, but he put in some grab your wife seasoning. It was called something, you guys, but the translation was grab your wife. Adorable. He got a Brazilian flag to welcome her from Brazil. Thought that was a green flag. Got her chocolate because who doesn't like chocolate? Green flag. And when she came down from the escalator, he greeted her in her language. So he learned a little bit of her language. Y'all, how many years have we watching 90 Day Fiance and we know that this does not happen very often. So it
Right.
completely stood out to me because guess what? He's making an effort. He's making an effort to also learn about her culture, which is what Abby has been talking about early on in our show, where it's like difference in culture, clashing in culture, not understanding each other's culture, but oftentimes they don't, and I'm going to blame both the American and the immigrant. You don't make an effort to learn each other's culture, and especially the American when it comes to language. Do you want to add anything to that?
No.
We're moving on to Marissa.
Okay.
Thoughts on this whole okay. Your thoughts on Marissa Edward.
Okay. So, in general, I think that when you think of a step parent, you should think of an extra person to love your child.
Hmm.
And if you come at it from that perspective above anything, then everyone is going to have a better relationship moving forward, or the best opportunity for a relationship moving forward. If
Mm-hmm.
you come at it from the point of I need to be number one to my child and they need to always default to me for everything and I need to be more important than the other person is at all times, that's going to make it very difficult for any integration for your child.
Mm-hmm.
And what's better, for your child to be loved by you or for your child to be loved and cared for by many?
Mm-hmm. I like
So
that.
that's first. That's my perspective on whenever I was dating someone. If I was going to have a step parent in my child's life, is this person going to be capable of being another person I can depend of to care for and consider my child? You know, if I can't trust you with that, then we're not going to be together.
Mm.
And I have to trust that my ex-husband would make those same kind of inquiries of a person that he's going to have in my child's life. I'm
I
not going to come into a new relationship when he's had long-term relationships. I don't go into it questioning that woman and saying I need to be more important to my child at all times than this other woman. I would come into it saying, I hope that they have something that they can offer my child in terms of time or education or expertise that will make their life even better than what I could do by myself.
I mean, I love everything that you just said. Olivia, you might be ahead. I haven't seen anything yet, so I'm gonna pause on your comment, but we can circle back next episode. But what I will say is, Marissa is giving uh, like 1% vibes, and I didn't know that about her. Uh, so Michael is her ex-husband. She says he's a great dad. He just was not a good fit as a husband for her. But they have worked on co-parenting in a healthy, kind way. I actually really love that. I think more people need to work on that, work on co-parenting and being kind, because at some point you two loved each other, and so you need to like sort through that. So her sons, Derek and Cole, are spending time with the dad. It's his time to have them. But before they leave, she wants to have a tete-a-tete with Michael about the dynamics of the family changing now that Edward is coming. How does he feel about it, etc., etc. Michael is having some feelings because one of the things that I don't think Abby is very co-parenting of Marissa is that she didn't tell him Michael about her relationship. The kids told him, and then he confronted her. And I thought, if you guys have done all this work to co-parent and be kind and be healthy, that was very toxic of you to allow the children to be the one to tell your ex, especially now
Correct.
that he's not only are you dating, but he's moving into the house. That is a big change.
Right. That's too much information, changing the home environment of your child without the other parent knowing.
And listen, y'all, I watch too much true crime. I'm not saying all step parents, but some step parents should not be in the home, right?
Hmm.
So the other parent absolutely has to have that knowledge that that's about to happen and have some say in it. Are you all crazy? You just not going to say anything, and all of a sudden this man shows up at the house?
Hmm.
That is okay. Um, then we find out that Marissa comes from wealth, which I'm gonna say this, you guys. I was so impressed that she was like a CEO of a major company. I said yes to the dress, the whole thing, but I just find it less impressive when you already have all the cards in your deck stacked for you. I just find it less impressive. So that being said, she comes from wealth. And Michael talks about how even with him, he felt like a loser because her parents had so much wealth that he didn't feel like he could measure up to the standard of what she's used to having. And he's worried that Edward may feel the same way and feel intimidated. And you guys know that a lot of men have little egos, and a lot of their egos is wrapped up in how they look, how much money they make, what cars they drive, etc., etc. And so not only is Marissa the breadwinner, but she's also like in that 1%. And I mean, I'm gonna call it right now, Abby. No, not this fool. This guy has not even he's never left his country. He's never traveled. He's never stayed in a hotel. This is the first time on an airplane. Like, I'm not saying he's not cultured, but he has not done even 0.001% of the things that Marissa has done. Are they equally yoked? And is that your man? Because I've got to tell you, the vibe I got as soon as I saw him again at the airport was sugar mama, sugar baby. Like, he's like a cute face for her. That's the vibe I got, but I could be wrong. So she's making a present for Edward. It's a house key in a box. It's only symbolic because her house is all digital entry. I died of laughter. She's like, I'm giving you the key, but I'm really not giving you the key. She also is struggling with the fact that she's not sure she wants to give up her single independent lifestyle. She had to meditate in her big bed about having to share the bed when now this is the last time she's gonna have the big bed to herself, and she is gonna have to support just like that her son. I can't remember if it was Cole or Derek, but one of them said, hey, by the way, like, is he gonna need an allowance? Yes, he is. Um, so she gets to the airport. She's feeling a little bit, nervous because again, she doesn't know what she doesn't know, and she doesn't know if she really wants this. And that's fair. And so Edward arrives. I'm saying the same thing because I'm just shocked. He's 41. He's never left the country. First time on a plane. He talks about opening, closing. He says opening the window, but what he really meant was the shades that
Yes.
are on the planes, because you're not opening a window on a plane, ding dong. Oh my god. I just don't see this working, you guys. So it's not that I don't like them. I'm not sure what is connecting them. You want to say something, Abby? I feel it. So go ahead.
Edward has got himself in the 0.1% of 90-day people who actually come into a situation that is what people think Americans live in. Him and Aaliyah, okay? Him and Aaliyah have landed in the lap of luxury. And if Edward does not behave and know how to milk this and make this happen, I don't know what to say to you, Edward. If you let your ego interfere with this free ride that you have been presented, what can we do for you? Because if I landed in this situation, I would be like, what do you want for dinner? Give me your card, I'll go get the groceries, and I'll have your dinner on the table. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. Olivia says she says her family didn't really accept her ex, but somehow she thinks they will accept the younger, poor Dominican. Okay, Marissa.
I don't know that she's even looking for acceptance from her family at this point, is she? Do you think she really cares about her family's acceptance at this point?
Edward better walk the dog and do the dishes, play soccer with the kids.
Look, if I walk in the situation, as far as I'm concerned, you can call me Mrs. Doubtfire. Okay?
Oh, you guys
I'm gonna be a cross between Mary Poppins and Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm gonna have them kids singing their ABCs, have them clothes washed and pressed, put on four or five different accents.
You're out of control over here. Okay, so fun fact about me and this is true about me, and this is a side note, but okay, so I like, and Abby's the total opposite of me, and we talked about this, and this is why I haven't mentioned it. So I love a good bag, you guys. I'm a bag girl.
Oh.
I love a good, yeah, and I already know your stories, Abby, and I know that's not your thing, but I love a good bag. I really do. They make me very happy. And so when my note says this, not leaving her LV bag on the floor unattended. Not only are you at the airport where you're not supposed to leave your bags unattended, but you now put your Louis Vuitton bag, on the big one, on the floor and just walked away for this dude that's never even been off of. You guys, I had to pause because I get distracted. And I said no. I know it's because she felt like, oh, production was around and the cameras around, but you left your bag on the floor. And also, as a Black person, we do not. There are so many superstitions about that. You do not put your purse on the ground.
That is the ultimate no.
And the dirt. Like, there were so many things going on in my mind at that moment, Abby. I just could not.
Airports are so disgusting. Yeah, I wrote it in my notes because I knew you were going to freak out about it. And even though I don't care for bags that much, I would not be leaving anything that belonged to me behind while I ran anywhere.
Unattended on the floor? Unattended on the floor. Bags, Silver Lining saying bags never go on the floor. Bad luck, takes your money. Same thing that we've all grown up and heard. I'm just saying. Right. But that just goes to show you that whole, that bag means nothing to her. It's like, that's like a I don't know, what's like a cheap bag? It's like a Temu bag to her.
Yeah, for her it was nothing. To get it replaced or have it clean means nothing.
And so the last thing I wanted to say, and getting your opinion from an immigration attorney perspective, is she meaning Marissa raised a really good question. She said, and at least I thought so, she said, going through the K1 process is not for the faint of heart. It really tests the relationship. And can relationship endure 2 years of the K1 visa process? And I wanted to see what your take was on that, because I also think that is true, between the distance and the money and knowledge and paperwork and then getting your partner over and then going through the 90 days, that whole process,
Mhm.
that's 2 years, right? For
Mhm.
someone that you say, "Hey, I've spent a little bit of time with them, and I think I love them," but you haven't spent the day-to-day time because you haven't had that opportunity yet. Can a relationship and can your relationship survive that?
Mhm. A great many applications are abandoned. A great many applications are filed and they're either immediately abandoned and they don't respond to any requests for additional documents, or once they are approved and go into the interview phase, the person just never schedules an interview, never attends the interview. A great many are abandoned because the relationships don't make it for one reason or the other. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to force the relationship just because the K has been filed. Um, but I would be interested in exactly what the statistics are, just in numbers, because we won't know why they didn't pursue it. But just in numbers, I'd be curious to know how many are filed that are not pursued, because that's a revenue source for the government
Right.
when people file and then they don't pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you learn a lot of the in that short amount of time, right? Those 90 days, you're forced to live together. So you learn a lot. Do you want to add anything before I move on to Crazy Katie and Josh?
Let's go, Katie and Josh.
88 Days to Wed. I don't have a lot of notes for them. They're leaving the motel to see the new alleged apartment that Katie has gotten them, but in the meantime, she's super hungover and she was quote unquote annoyingly drunk. Wants to know if Josh thought she was annoyingly drunk. And Josh is in his feelings because not only was she super drunk and she made his welcome party about her and not about him, but also to his words that she was brazenly obvious about her hookups and the her friends that she's hooked up with. And we talked about this earlier because hookup can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people, different people. Hookup means she did the jiggy jiggy with her friends and all of them.
All of them. Every man she invited.
Every man she invited, as well as she's made out with every female that she invited. She is open opportunist when it comes to getting jiggy with it and hooking up. Okay, so um he's thinking about he's in his feelings because she's a party girl, and he's thinking about marriage and future. And I do want to say these two things. First of all, you met her exactly who she is. She didn't say that she was going to change being a party girl, and you fell in love with that, and then you proposed to that. So this is who she is and how she presented. Nothing has changed. And so for you to now want her to change her ways, I mean, she can if she wants to, but it can't be because you are now thinking that you want to take this relationship in a different direction. She is showing up who she is. Now, that being said, my question is, maybe, and it's a statement question, maybe Katie should just stop drinking for a while and see how that looks in her life. I don't know. Cuz I just feel like what I'm seeing is the drinking is not like, hey, she's partying and having a good time, because she wakes up in the morning, she feels guilty and sad and she doesn't know, and she's worried and all the things. I feel like it's more like a band-aid for some underlying thing that we don't know about, whether it's the OCD stuff or some other trauma or something. But we learn that she really needs self-validation. She needs attention. She mixes sexual attention with self-worth, and then she throws alcohol on top of it as a band-aid. And I'm not sure. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not sure she's enjoying herself, Abby. And maybe I'm not like, do what you want to do, but maybe stop drinking for like 30 days and see if that feels different.
Hmm. I do think that she needs to try something different. I think everything that you said is exactly why she is experiencing the problems that she's having. So, she definitely needs to stop drinking. That's just not healthy. Your liver is not going to last very long if you keep on doing that. But she really needs to sit down with someone, a professional, and talk about why do you need sexual validation? Why do you need this kind of attention? Why do you need to be touched to feel worthy and loved? And what kind of thing can we substitute out in the meantime for drinking while we're on this self-discovery? I
Exactly.
used to work with addicts, and you guys know I've had a lot of former lives. I worked at a methadone clinic, and before that I worked at a residential treatment program. And there was a guy who said that if you're the kind of person who's doing something every single day, you're already an addict before you call yourself that. If you need to do that every day, you're already an addict.
There it is. Um, yeah, so that's that. I'm moving on. Last and certainly the most uncomfortable, I guess, for me, Shay and Annabelle. What are your thoughts on this couple?
Man, anytime I see him come across my screen, all I think about is how she took that rag straight from his cooter to his face.
Girl, yes. Okay. Ugh, okay. Let me just suck it up. Okay, so they're in the bed, and TLC, I see how shady y'all are being, and welcome back to the good old days, because you guys, down to the filming and the music, they are so shady McCady, and I'm here for it. So, they're in this not Airbnb, a bed and breakfast that was an old church, and they like they they're the B-roll was outrageous, and then they quickly pan into the bed, and all you see is Shay's like big old body and Annabelle cupping where she cups all the time. Like, they're just outrageous. Anyways, and the first conversation they're having is Annabelle says, which is something I've been talking about this episode with you guys, is how have you been satisfying yourself for the last 2 years? Because they haven't seen each other for 2 years. And the way Shay danced around that question, he danced around that question. Like a little puppet. Didn't answer. And that was it. There was no response to that, because we know that he's been dilly-dallying, right? He's been
Hmm.
X and whoever else. Um the other thing, side note, you guys, is that they just they just got up out of the bed, and I'm assuming they did the cleanly stuff, but I didn't see it because she starts dressing him, and she says it's her way of loving him, but I don't like it. She puts his
The way you said, I don't.
I just don't. I don't like it. It's giving schmuck vibes, schmuck tourist vibes. Like, I just don't like it, you guys. I don't like it. He's like 50. What is he's 54 years old? Like, he should be able to put on his own t-shirt and socks, and like, is that your baby? You're cleaning his ass and wiping
So,
his face and also dressing him.
mhm. I need for us to consider something. We're conditioned to look at this like Shay is the bad guy, and he might very well be the bad guy. But I need us to consider the possibility that Annabelle is a feeder.
Oh my god, I
I need us
can't.
to consider the possibility that his weight and his inability to clean his own self to her satisfaction is a little bit of a fetish to her.
You probably are not wrong. You're probably not wrong, because you know what? Now that I think of it, every time they go, you know how they do the to camera photos first? Like, this is the couple. they do the thing, and she's always patting his belly, patting his belly. Oh, oh God. Okay, it's. I'm gonna have to circle back on this, you guys, because that is just too much for me to think about right now. So I'm gonna keep it pushing. They're leaving the hotel that they were in en route to his house. He is warning her about Allison, his daughter, which I don't know, you guys. It's given. Ugh. You know how I say how some single moms make their sons their head of the households, the man of the house. This is giving the reverse of that, where she's a single woman, but like she's in a whole on relationship with her dad. That's what it's giving to me, at least. It because the comparisons that she does, and she's like, I'm not going to be competing with Annabelle. Competing?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word you meant to use?
That's odd. That's odd that you would choose that kind of language,
Right.
but
Yeah. Anyway, so Shay's warning Annabelle that Allison's not going to let Annabelle get between her and her dad. And then I literally said, what? Like, what are you, Shay, going to do about this? Like, as a grown ass man, knowing who your daughter is, and you even said your daughter is a bully, what are you going to do about this? Because you are bringing this woman into your life. So perhaps you should have a conversation about your daughter and her poor behavior, and maybe remind her that you're not in a relationship with her, that's your child, and you're in a relationship with Annabelle. I don't know, but it almost seems like when you're saying that, you like it, you like that she's jealous, you like that she's like competing with your woman. It's weird. I don't know,
he
you guys.
likes the fact that he's in a role with his daughter that is not clearly parent and child. He enjoys this blurring.
Yeah, and it's weird, you guys. It's Abby. It's mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And then he had a very American conversation. First of all, you can come for me if you want, but I'm going to stand 10 toes deep in this. I don't understand Americans' obsession with ranch dressing. I just don't get it. And when I saw the ranch commercials and all the, like, you guys just putting ranch on everything. Is that what we're doing now? Just on everything? On everything? And so when Annabelle was talking about rice being a staple in the Philippines, and if you, rice is a staple in a lot of countries, you guys, just throwing it out there. But when he compared it to bread and potatoes and onion rings, I said, "Oh, America." Like, "Oh, America." Onion rings, Shay, bread.
See, like when he was first started talking, I was with him. I was like, okay, I'll give you bread. I'll give you potatoes, whatever, you know. But when he said onion rings, I was like, now Shay. Onion rings.
You guys are just so crazy. It's just so crazy. You guys are so crazy. So crazy. Um So they get to the house, and this whole you guys, the whole situation is just so, I don't know. I think maybe I've just been big city living, and I need to go to some of these smaller. I don't know what's going on, but they get there. She's greeted with what I said was craziness after a long flight, and I've done many of them. What I'm not about to do is walk into chaos. Like, no, thank you. Between the kids, the mess, the dogs, the gates, the lights. Even Annabelle said it was all crazy for her. It was too messy. There was dog hair everywhere. She couldn't even sit down. She had to move the toys from the couch. She couldn't even sit down. She started cleaning. She was already folding blankets, like the whole thing.
She said, oh, look, it's dirty.
But he was obsessed with showing off the house. So he was taking her across this house, and he showed her the fridge and said, look how big this fridge is. Look, this is an oven. You don't have an oven. This will be the first time because in the Philippines, where she's from, she only had cooktops. Then he showed her the bedroom, and there are deer heads everywhere. And she was like, "Why do you have dead animals in the room? It's weird," she says. And he's like, "Oh, I used to be a redneck. This is what rednecks do." And I was like, "Sir, you are still a redneck. Used to be." But what I thought was interesting that she thought that that house was huge and she loved it. She loved the kitchen. She loved the little nook that was the dining area. She loved it. And that just goes to show that you should just really appreciate. I'm talking to myself, you guys.
If you have not ever watched us before, Linda is very confused about how somebody living in a trailer can be considered rich. And I think that's just like a distinctly American thing, that you can have rich trailer park folk and that other people also consider him to be wealthy. But Linda keeps looking at it like, I don't get it. He lives in a trailer. Why are we talking about him being wealthy? Because he is in that world. He is. He has a double wide.
He has a what?
A double wide is a type of trailer.
Oh God. I don't even want to know. I just don't even want to know. I don't even I don't want to know about it. I'm just I
She's just this is what I'm saying. Like from the very top of the show, that's what I've been saying. That this season is showing us some Americans that y'all have never seen before. And I really feel like being exposed to this type of American is going to help you understand why we're in the situation that we're currently in right now.
100%. 100% because this fool had listen, y'all, those deer heads were bigger than the bedroom. And then the things that he was focusing on was just so he gets shows of the room. I'm looking at these deer heads and fish. He had an axe. You know how much true crime I watch? You got an axe on the wall in the bedroom where most anyways.
So
There's
this is another very very American thing. You guys, Linda is Canadian. You don't understand how violent American culture is. You don't understand how violent our homes are. And like him having weapons on his walls did not even register to me.
oh, yeah. I was like, what
Did not
is
even register to me. The majority of people's homes that I went into as a child, we have guns.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Like I just it was a lot. That's why I was like, I get it, Annabelle. She's like, it's weird. It looks weird. Yes, it does. It looks weird. And why no. Anyways,
Now you'll get a better understanding of why we fight y'all when you try to pickpocket us when we travel to Europe, because like we're violent people, and you're not even seeing those of us who have felons because they can't travel.
and the way that your thing just did a thumbs up was perfect. Okay, so the other thing that I thought was weird is that he shows her a bunch of jewelry that he got her. So he got her a diamond ring, diamond earrings, and a necklace. And uh, I mean, that's lovely. It's
I'm
not,
sorry, I need you to see what Silver Linings just said. I don't actually know if we're allowed to read it, but I need you to see what she said, because this is exactly what I'm talking about.
oh, that sounds terrible. Becca, facts. Um, so I just thought it was weird that it was like he was showing off, but it was like, what are you really showing off about? Anyways, he has bought Annabelle all this jewelry and then he puts a necklace on and then his daughter gets jealous and she's like, "You've never done that for me. You've never gotten me diamond earrings." and it was weird, you guys. It was like a weird, I don't know, like je ne sais quoi. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It was weird. Like the vibe I got was off. I can't explain it. It just what it didn't sit right with me.
So I can explain the vibe that you're feeling. Um, Let me try to do it YouTube friendly. There is a category of corn that, if you are a corn watcher, it's constantly being pushed off on you. And it's in this vibe of inappropriate relationships between step parent, child, inappropriate family relationships. And it is consistently existing within a particular dynamic. This is the vibe that you're feeling.
Oh my god. No. Oh my.
A Targaryen type of thing, if you will.
I just, you know what? That okay. Oh, oh. Okay. Focus. Okay. So his daughter's jealous of his fiance, which is so weird. And then she literally says, you guys, if Annabelle is going to make this a competition between them, then she's not going to give her blessings for them to get married, and then she's going to have to go back to the Philippines. And then again, I said, a competition? Is that the word you're looking for? Annabelle hates it. She's like, "What's up with your daughter? She's a grown ass woman. She should pay her own bills." She asks about like the house, which is a trailer next door. If she pays rent, she doesn't. Before Allison leaves, she asks for some money from her dad, and dad gives it to her. And she's like, "I don't understand what's going on here." And he's like, "Oh, it's just for some biscuits." It's like, some biscuits. There's so much I just don't understand that's going on in this relationship that I like. You guys, I probably could spend another 40 minutes just talking about the things I don't understand that is going on at that house. Where do those big dogs stay in that little house? Do they stay inside? Two? And then the kid, oh no. You need a bigger house, sir. Or you should put those, what is it called? Doubled wides? Put the double wide and make them a quadruple wide or something. I don't know. It's very confusing. It's very confusing.
This is so exciting for me. I love reading all the comments whenever clips of them get posted or clips of Mallory get posted, because I'm like, yes, yes, bring us some real Americans.
It is so confusing.
And this is not a minority group. This is like a large majority of rural Americans are just like this. And the majority of America is rural, not city.
And I want to say something, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's something that has been trending and it's just a little worrisome for me. Why are y'all not bathing daily? So to put that on top of what I just saw here, it's very concerning.
Well, there's a group, and there's a lot of overlap with the types of people that we're seeing right now on the show, who believes that getting wet in any way is a bath. If they get in the lake, that's bath. If they're in the river that day, that's bath. If they play in the water hose, that's bath. And that has been pretty. That's a pretty common thing that I've been exposed to since I was little, but I was always told, that's wrong. We bathe every single day, but you don't. People who don't live like that, you don't confront them about it. You just simply don't live like that on your own.
Oh. Um all right, I'm going to think about that cuz I personally feel like I have to go out in the public with those people that think that they run in the river. and they bathe for the day, and then they want to, like, I'm gonna have to think about. I will mind my own business for a moment. I can't promise you that I won't have some thoughts on this. On that note, happy weekend, you guys. Have an amazing weekend. Just love on yourself and love on others. Life is too short to not be happy and spread love. And we will see you guys very, very soon. We love you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And come on over to our Instagrams. Our personal Instagrams, you guys, are very fun, very fascinating. You learn a lot about us. I watch Abby's all the time, and it is a thrill. Listen, I'll leave it
Yeah,
with
I
this.
will. I will. It's different.
French
It's not like you're getting
toast,
the same thing.
thick French toast, egg, sausage or bacon, your decision, on top of another piece of thick French toast. Oh, does that sound delicious? Oh, you missed it. Bye, guys.
Bye.